Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're well. You marvellous, marvellous, beautiful, wonderful people. And this midweek hump, baby, is the midweek hump. And you are looking absolutely amazing. It's because of the midweek hump, and we all love a midweek hump. But anyway, I'm getting straight into the meat and potatoes, as this is part three of the Brian Kohberger, why did this crime happen? Why do these sort of crimes happen? And taking the three main ones into consideration, do they fit the Brian Kohberger narrative? In part one, we looked at, I can't remember, it wasn't jealousy, was it? No, it was just random. Was this crime just a random crime? Someone plucked the house out of a hat on that specific night and just went and did this crime. That doesn't seem to match Brian Kohberger. It doesn't seem to fit the way in which the crime took place. Then we looked at jealousy. We looked at infatuation. Was Madison Mogen the target? And is there anything that would make you feel that way? My conclusion was there was elements to it, yes. But ultimately, again, the way in which the crime happened inside that house, if it's as we've been told, then it doesn't feel like this was targeted just one person. It actually feels more that there was two rooms targeted. And that being said, that brings us to this part three that we look at revenge. In my opinion, the Idaho 4 case, if it happened the way in which we've been told it happened, removing Brian Kohberger out of the equation for a second, but we believe that someone entered this house on this specific night, at this specific time, and did this crime in this amount of time, then I believe that based on the things that we've been told about what happened actually inside that house and the little nuggets that have happened on the outskirts as well, on the peripheral of the case, if that is all true, then I believe that this was a revenge killing. Now, there are so many things that may or may not have anything to do with this, but what we do know is that statements have been made that would lead you to believe that there is a possibility, just a possibility. I'm not saying any of this is factual. This is just me speculating. But for instance, statements like by Steve Gonsalves not having to go upstairs, or another statement where he talks about there being gross things that are going to come out, that almost makes you feel that there were things happening inside that house that people would step back and think, oh, that's gross. I'm just taking the words out of the horse's mouth. So that would lead you to believe that this could potentially be retaliation. I'm not saying it was, but you can't help but feel that way when you've got one of the primary mouthpieces of the case being Steve Gonsalves stating that, oh, we just need to rip the Band-Aid off. Just let people know what's going on. We've also had members of the Chapin family stating that he wishes that he could talk more about what happened, but out of respect of the families, he's just going to not say anything and allow it to play out. I believe that was Ethan's brother-in-law. So look, things have been said that make you question what was going on in that house. We also heard that there was a fight earlier on in the evening that included Ethan and Xana. We have confusion, seemingly have confusion, over when they left that party and who they left with and who was in the house. Now, how can you have Bethany Funk being at this party, being able to say when Ethan and Xana arrived, when they left, and her being at the house? She, in my opinion, Bethany Funk was still at the party after Ethan and Xana left. And what with, again, statements on the peripheral saying that Bethany Funk has exculpatory evidence, it would lead me to conclude that there's something that Bethany Funk knows about the timeline or the chain of events that somehow conflict with what Dylan Mortensen has said and what was subsequently placed in the PCA and pushed out. I can't help but question why there is nothing from Bethany Funk in the PCA. Now, some people will buffer that. Of course they will. And they'll turn around and say they don't need to put it in there. They just need to put enough in there to get an arrest warrant to do that. And I'll say, fuck off. a lot of the time, what is in the PCA reflects the vast majority of what they have, because they don't want to risk something coming back. So they will put what they have in there. They will absolutely put in the PCA what they need to put in there. Look at how extensive the PCA is on other elements that are now being questioned, such as the route of travel of the car and the mobile phone pings and things like this. It's frustrating that so many people out in this community are willing to ignore things, and they're willing to push out falsities in order to ballast their opinion. But they're unable to even consider anything that slightly dampens down the possibility of them being right. And I've said this countless times. This isn't about being right or what's right anymore. It's about being right. And there's a huge difference between being right and it being right, if that makes sense. You get me? You know, what happened in the crime and what you think happened. Look, with these things on the peripheral and the way in which this crime happened itself, the way that someone goes into this house and makes a conscious decision to go to not one but 2 rooms and ignore other rooms, to me seems targeted. It seems targeted. And across those rooms were 2 people who'd been at the party, Ethan and Xana, who had been involved in an argument earlier on that night. And the other 2, we'd literally heard in footage them talking about what had been said to Adam, and seemingly, and again, I can't push this out as absolutely 100% accurate, but it seems to be accurate that there was some conversation about something being said to somebody and there being repercussions for that. Now, were the 2 connected? I don't know. But what I struggle with is, did the crime start upstairs and there was enough noise to rouse the people downstairs? But then why would this seemingly take place inside the 2 rooms? If this is someone who's come in and attacked Kaylee and Maddie, for instance, and then come down, and because there's been that much of a ruckus, Ethan and Xana, or just Ethan, has come out of the room, why wasn't there an altercation anywhere else in the house? But maybe we'll learn later that there was. Because again, that's guesswork. We are guessing that there wasn't an altercation elsewhere in the house. We just know where they were found. Where they were found. It doesn't mean that there wasn't an altercation elsewhere in the house. But for me, there is enough on the peripheral being said and evidence of how the crime itself actually took place that would lead me to believe that this has got the signature of a retaliation crime, of a revenge crime. And that's not even going into the Hudson Lindau situation. That's without going into the Hannah Clary situation. There's arguments for and against both of those. We talk about bullying. We talk about people who have lost their lives and the potential that it probably wasn't as straightforward as what was led to be believed, and that other people could have potentially been involved. We don't know. But what we do know is there is a culture within these fraternities and sorority houses of secrecy, of things happening, things going wrong. Whether it be hazing issues, whether it be narcotic issues, alcohol issues, where things go wrong and people get hurt. And powerful people, people with money and people with influence, they end up getting away with things that a regular person would not. It happens. And whether people want to stick their head in the sand or not, the reality is in this crime, one of the most telltale signs, and again, my man Eddie, he reminded me yesterday, we have a situation where we have 2 DNA samples found at the scene of the crime that are being hidden. We do not know who they are. Scrubbed. And we also have a strange scenario where we've apparently got a DoorDash driver arriving at the scene of the crime at the exact same time as a killer. But yet no fucker knows who the DoorDash driver is. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what car they drive. Nobody knows who they are. They think that she might be female, but they haven't come forward. They haven't spoken to anybody. A mystery. A DoorDash driver mystery. People even thought I was the fucking DoorDash driver. I shit you not. But there's things around this case that don't quite add up. Don't quite add up. But what do you think? Now we've gone through these three things. Was it random? Was it jealousy, infatuation? Or was this revenge? I'll catch you all in the next one.